Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Dream Team chat on a Tuesday. I'm so excited to be here tonight, despite being alone. I am solo tonight, but I am talking about literally one of my favorite topics. One of the topics that I feel like I can confidently share because I find that it's something that I take the most time doing, the most time kind of perfecting, because it's something that interests me. I love it. I love this side of our business because it requires intention, it requires connection. It's part of the public facing part of our business, and I really love that. And so tonight, as part of our best series, I'm talking about the best ways to share Scentsy. Okay, so these are going to be really tangible tips that I'm going to give you on my experiences with sharing Scentsy throughout the last 7 years. Okay, so if you are ready to take notes, if you're ready to really dive in, I encourage you to do so, just because some of this stuff may be things that you're already doing, you already know, but some of it may be brand new information to you. And I really hope that there are things that you say, I do really great at that. And then there's one or two things that you go, you know what, I can really get better at that. And I'm going to work on that. And just know that just because I'm sharing it because it's something that I do does not mean that it's a one size fits all. There are a couple things on this list that I will say hands down probably could fit everybody. And you'll know what they are when you hear them. But for majority of this stuff, it is a like do what you can or make it your own type thing. But these again are just my personal best tips for sharing Scentsy, primarily on social media. Okay, because we do live in a very technology forward world, and despite coming out of 2020 and the dip that we saw in social media, we are still very much living in a world where people are looking at their phones, they're looking at ways to connect, and they're still shopping online, right? And so how do we step into that space? How do we look different than other consultants? How do we present our business in a way that is attractive for others? Okay. So that's kind of why I feel like these tips are worth sharing with you. And I just really love this area of our business, you guys. So I hope that there are some things here that are really good nuggets for you. So I'm going to start with number one. These are in no particular order, I promise you. Actually, the probably most important one is about six down. So it is in no particular order. But number one is going to be a VIP group. Okay. And if you are a frontline of mine, you've heard me ask you in the very beginning of your Scentsy business if you are going to do a VIP group. And I asked that question because, and it's on this list because to me, my customer group on Facebook has been a 100% non-negotiable game changer for me personally. I also know other very successful leaders who do not have a customer group and do just fine. And they have gone from having one to not having one, and that transition worked out really well for them. So this is one of those things that I'm telling you up front is not necessary for everybody, but to me it is one of the utmost important areas where you can be best sharing your Scentsy, for a couple different reasons, and I'm just going to point those out. We all know what a customer group is. It's a private, I say private because I don't want mine public. I am obviously there. Those people are there for me to be sharing Scentsy to them. And when your group is private, anybody on Facebook who you are friends with can see that. And even people who are friends with the people inside the group can see it. So I like private groups. But you are creating that group so that those people have special access to you, and it's intentional, focused content. Okay. And I think that that is so special to have with your customers, especially in this business where relationships matter, connection matters, and intentionality matters, right? And so when I pull people into my customer group as my customers, as my VIPs, which is what I call them, I am giving them content that is focused for them. They are there because they love Scentsy, or they're there because they want to support me and my family. And so I am going to give them content that supports that. I'm giving them Scentsy, and me and Alex have talked about this before, and we share very similar views on this. I treat my customer group like a lifestyle blog. Okay. I do about 80-20 rule where 80% of it is, Scentsy related, right? I'm sharing my Scentsy, I'm sharing Scentsy at home, I'm sharing what's coming out, I'm sharing what I'm loving. And all things Scentsy is in my VIP group. They hear it first, they hear the news first. But then that other 20% is the relatable content that I think also builds really strong connection. And I do think you need these nuggets with your customers. And that's pieces of me, parts of my life that are connection points. So, for instance, I'm a mom of three, so I'm sharing pictures of my kids. I'm sharing mom life. Okay, I'm a wife to a police officer. That's a big part of my brand, and people who know me know that about me, and so I'm sharing content about being a police wife and our canine that lives with us and all of that. I love Friends, so I'm sharing Friends memes or funny Friends things that I see, or quotes, or tying Friends to my Scentsy stuff. I go to church. I love Jesus, so I'm asking them how I can pray for them and stuff like that. So I am being very intentional and focused with my customers in an attempt to not just share Scentsy with them and hope to make sales and hope to gain customers, loyal customers, or an attempt to build my team, but I'm also sharing Scentsy because I want to build relationships. I want to create content that makes them want to see what I'm up to that day. And when you see how much I post in my customer group compared to what you see on my personal page, you'd be shocked. But the reality of it is that it's very intentional that way because I want my customers to get pieces of me that not everybody gets. That's why I call them VIPs. They're very important people, and giving them that access to my life that other people don't get makes them feel that way, and it affirms their reason for being in my group, right? And so if you're going to create a customer group, my encouragement to you would be to create content or to um, make your presence there unique to where your presence is everywhere else, and that can literally be just a slight tweak of your content. And so maybe you share, sometimes what happens is I'll share something in my customer group first, and then a couple hours later I'll post it on my personal page. So it's not that they're not getting it either, it's that my VIPs get the first look at my kids, game, or whatever. And so that happens a lot, and I love that that builds that connection for them and they get to see that. So customer group, I think that there are a lot of positives to it, and to be honest, the only negative that I could think of with having a customer group is that it does take intentional time. And if you are going to commit to creating a customer group and inviting people into it, then you have to commit to a level of consistency, and we're going to talk about that, but I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. My second best tip for you is going to be kind of paired with the customer group because that's the place where you can do it the best, in my opinion. But it's scheduling posts. Okay. When you are looking at your social media and it's feeling super overwhelming because you feel like you have to be on social media all the time, I hate that feeling. I don't want to be on social media on all the time. As much as I love it and as much as I cherish the spaces that I'm in because I've created networks and tribes and people and friendships on all these social media platforms, I am also the person who likes to disconnect, and being able to schedule posts specifically in my customer group where I spend the most time and where I have the strongest connections, being able to schedule these posts are actually incredibly useful because it allows me to continue to create the content and it continue to appear available even when I don't have my phone in my hand. And I like to batch schedule posts. And so what that means is that in the evening or early in the morning when I wake up and I have that creative juices flowing, sometimes it's in the evening, sometimes it's in the morning. I just go based off of how I feel. And usually it's just for the day. I will schedule the post and I will schedule all day long. And it's every 2, 3 hours, right? So I'm posting probably at least 6 times a day in my customer group. Now, going back to the customer group thing, you don't have to, do not feel like you have to post that much. Okay. I talk about this story all the time because she's a dear friend of mine. She's not here tonight. But when she joined Scentsy, she didn't have much of a social media presence. But she said, okay, so since I'm going to do this and I recognize the value in being present on social media, I'm going to commit to one post a day on her Instagram and in her customer group. one post a day. And then she got comfortable and then she upped it. And now she does several posts a day and she is very present and it has worked really well in her favor. So if you are somebody who is stepping into this space and you want to take it slow, commit to something small because you can always increase. It is really difficult to start with really high expectations or a really high number and then decrease because you lose credibility with your people when you do that. And so I recommend, if you're looking at creating customer group or jumping back into your customer group, commit to something small, but scheduling posts helps you in that aspect, especially in a customer group. And scheduling posts is only available to groups that you create and you are the admin or mod for. Okay. So you are only allowed to do that in groups, not in like Facebook. Well, actually you can do it on a business page. You can do it on a business page. But your business page or your customer group are the only places that you can schedule. So if you're just using your personal profile to post stuff about Scentsy, you're not going to be able to schedule posts. That not everybody does that, and that's okay. If you can work around it, that's totally fine. But I do love the scheduling post feature because it saves me time and it increases my productivity. I like today, I was out and about, me and Alex went and did stuff, and I had scheduled posts this morning before I left my home. And I knew all day long I would just check in on Facebook. And while I was shopping for my customers, picking up warehouse orders, I knew my business was working in the background. And I was able to increase my productivity by not having to be on my phone because I had already front loaded my content. Okay. So scheduling posts is an incredible feature that you can utilize on Facebook. I know you can utilize it on Instagram. I don't like to do it on Instagram. That's just my personal preference, but you can schedule posts on Instagram as well. Those are the only two platforms that I'm super familiar with. So that's all I can speak of. My third tip for sharing social media, and this is kind of going into like the attraction marketing part of it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think we just went over a series talking about this, and you can go back and look at my other videos that I've done about social media because this is a big chunk of it. But I do want you guys to understand that when you are on social media and you're in this business and you are taking pictures of products and you are focused on the attraction marketing part of it, you do want to acknowledge that simple fixes of your picture taking abilities like good lighting matter. Okay. I didn't start out taking really great pictures. Okay. I actually really had to practice and I had to learn and I had to ask questions and experience other different ways of taking pictures, other people's styles of taking pictures. In fact, Alex has helped me in a couple different areas in terms of like being inspired by her pictures or being with her and taking pictures and seeing how she's doing things and just tweaking little details here and there, changing your position. All of those things create such a difference when you are really focusing on taking pictures. And that is, I don't want to say that this is like a huge, super big deal in the Scentsy world, but the reality of it is that if you are sharing these products, if you're talking about them, then you should be taking pictures of them because you have them in your home, right? The best way to sell something is to have it and be talking about it because you use it, you're a consumer of that product, and your experience is XYZ, right? And so I don't know how many sales you'd get if you had this really great explanation of a product, but it was just like a black box, right? If it was just like nothing, if you didn't have a picture of it. And you can test this theory, right? You can go and try to search for things and look at people who are not posting real life pictures or posting just captions or just, words with no pictures. Is your eye drawn to it? Are you intrigued? The first thing your eye sees when you're scrolling social media are the pictures. And one of the biggest selling points also in this business, which I'm going to get to, is people's faces. People are naturally drawn to faces that are familiar to them. And so taking selfies in good light, like all of those things can equal more eyes on your business. And further than that, I was talking to a friend yesterday and she was talking to me about pictures about Scentsy and stuff like that. And she was saying that she went on Pinterest and she could recognize every single one of my pictures because I have such a style. Or you've seen so many pictures of my desk or my kitchen, or my dining room table, or what my bed, right? Like I take pictures of those things so often, and I have such a particular way of sharing my Scentsy business that's recognizable, and that's what I want. Right? I've created a brand that's recognizable and that's it's comfy for my customers because they can recognize it and say, "Oh, that's my Scentsy. That's my Scentsy girl," right? And so finding your groove with it. You don't have to be a professional photographer to get good lighting. And if you don't, Alex literally could talk on this subject because in her apartment, she had terrible lighting. Like no place in her apartment was good lighting unless you went outside, and then it's not her apartment, right? So it's not really an excuse because she didn't take, it wasn't like she wasn't taking pictures for 3 years, right? She took plenty of pictures, but it was optimizing what she had available to her, and doing what she could to manipulate it in a way where it looked attractive. And so not having good lighting is really not an excuse because you can figure out a way, but you do have to learn and you do have to work at it and you do have to practice. And that might be an area of your business that you feel like you're not great at or that doesn't deserve attention. But just ask yourself when you're scrolling social media, what are you attracted to? Are you actually reading other consultants' posts that just have flyers? Or are you looking at the really beautiful pictures and going, oh my gosh, what's she talking about? Right? And so you can take what you are finding attractive about other businesses or about other Scentsy consultants' pictures or post or whatever, and applying that to how you move forward with your own business. Okay, but good lighting to me, non-negotiable, and it's one of my best tips for really capturing this idea of sharing Scentsy on social media. Okay, and we are talking about social media here. Okay, number 4, best tip for sharing on social media is having current products, right? This does not mean, and I do know that when we were talking about investments last week, we talked about having 1 to 3 current products in your home readily available for you to be talking about, taking pictures of, and sharing, right? If you do not have current products, and listen to me, I have a lot of not current products in my home. Okay. I have a lot of products that are no longer available. I have a lot of wax bars that are no longer available, but I am not focusing my time on any of that. I have it because I love it. I bought it because I love it and I do have it. And sometimes I will take the occasional picture and be like, oh my gosh, I just love this warmer so much. I hope it comes back. But I'm not spending my time sharing that with my customers because it's not something that they can have. Right now, the difference in this is if you have a diffuser, but you have a diffuser shade that's not available, then you can still focus on the diffuser, right? That's the high price key item there. But having current products means that you have content that you can share and you have experience with that product that you can share, that you can tell stories about, that you can recommend to people, right? And so it is so incredibly important that you do invest in 1 to 3 current products. And I would recommend, if you're like, I'm bare bones, I have this much money and we've got the holiday and the harvest and the regular catalog, I would say if you're getting 3 products, go with 2 things from the catalog and 1 thing from your favorite season. Okay? The catalog is the bread and butter. That's going to last you all the way until we switch seasons. The catalog has a lot of amazing products in it. And I also would go with products that you actually will love, okay, that are actually valuable to you and that you will actually be able to create content with on a regular basis, right? So, for instance, if you are an adult with no children, and you may really love the Scentsy Buddies, but if you're an adult with no children and you are like, I'm going to get a Scentsy Buddy, ask yourself, are you going to be sharing that regularly? Is that something that your customer base is going to be interested in looking at every single day? Are you going to be able to create content that connects with other people based off of a Scentsy Buddy as an adult with no children, right? So think about who your target audience is, think about what you love, and think about your content. Those are the three things that I would specify and ask yourself before you go investing in products. And the wonderful thing about being a consultant is that your investment monetarily in these products only has to go as far as your investment in your business. And what that means is that if you are working your business, talking to your customers, following up, booking parties, having parties, all those things, you will have parties of your own to be able to utilize host rewards and free and half off products, right? So your investment monetarily can be very minimal if you are investing in your business first, right? So, and that just like, that's a circle that just keeps going around and around and around, because when you invest in the product, or when you invest in your business and then you're able to get the products, then you have products that you can then share, and that's investing in your business. And then you're getting orders from your customers, and then you're able to invest, it's just like a never ending cycle. And that's how I have majority of my stuff, is because I am working my business in such a way that I get these host rewards, and then I can get this stuff for free and half off, minimal monetary investment. Okay. Spend Scentsy money on family, not family money on Scentsy. Okay. All right. Fifth best tip for sharing Scentsy on social media. I alluded to it already, so it should be a surprise to no one. Selfies. Okay. I know not everybody is comfortable with selfies. I know this can be a scary road to go down for some people, and I don't want to minimize that at all. Okay. But there is significant statistics that state that putting your face to your business, or just putting your face out there, increases the eyes that stay on your business, or that stay on you in terms of what you're saying, right? When I'm scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, I'm a chronic scroller. Like, I could love something that somebody posts, but like for some reason my thumb just doesn't want to move over slightly to like press the like button. Like, I struggle with that so much, and I don't know why. But I know myself, and I know I'm like 20 times more likely to love a picture that is a selfie of my friend versus anything else. If I see my friend's face, I automatically just want to be like, I love you, and just like love it or like it, right? I feel that way. And I'm not only a consultant and a business owner or whatever, but I'm also a consumer. And I'm a consumer of my friends. And so think about the people that you are wanting to share Scentsy with, either on your personal profile, your VIP group, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. All of those people are consumers of something. And so you want them to invest and consume you and what you're saying and your business and what you're sharing and your Scentsy. And so to increase the likelihood of them doing that, you have to put your face to it. And I I strongly believe, I'm not going to say that I've ever had a problem with selfies. I don't know how that makes me sound. I just have never had a problem with selfies. But I'm going to say that I do think that it's one of those things that the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it. Okay. So if you are in an uncomfy place with that, then you need to do whatever you need to do to make yourself as comfortable as possible, and then just do it, and then keep doing it and keep lowering the bar. Right. So if you're like, wow, I only feel comfortable taking selfies when I've got a full face of makeup and I look nice and I've showered and I'm in perfect lighting and whatever, it's like, okay, do that the first couple of times. Right. And then take as many selfies as possible with as many products as possible while you're all dolled up. And then the next time you need more selfies, take it down a notch. Say, okay, you know what? I don't need a full face of makeup, and I don't need my hair perfect. I can just go light. I'll go light mascara, some lipstick. I'll make sure my hair is brushed, and I'll stand in front of my window this time, right? And you just take it down a notch every time, and you get more comfortable, and you take more pictures, and you try different poses, and you try different smiles, and all of a sudden you're not hiding behind the catalog and your face is out and you're in portrait mode and your face is the only thing. Like, try different things But the not trying is going to get you nowhere, right? And the not doing it is not going to get you any more comfortable than you already are, which if you're uncomfy, then you're uncomfy, but not doing it keeps you there. Okay. Does your business ride or die on this? I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that your customers are your customers because they like you, right? And especially if you have in-person customers, if you were bold enough to talk to that person in the grocery store or have a conversation with them at an event or at a home party or whatever, and they saw your face and they said, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna buy from you, and then they buy from you twice, and then they buy from you 5 times, and they're in your customer group or they're cheering you on or whatever, and they're engaging, then they like you. There's something about you that they like. And it goes deeper than Scentsy, right? These are your people. These are your cheerleaders. Why would you not? Why would you not show your face? There's nothing anybody could tell me that would make me feel differently about this area. I know that it's hard. I know that sometimes it's a burden. It feels like a mountain to get over, and I get that. But you can do it. Okay? Put your face to your business. Put your face to your social media. Let people see your face. Let people see your smile. Let people see how much you love your business, how much you love the products, right? That is so important. It builds connection for people to be able to see you. Okay. Okay. Consistency. My 6th business tip. This should be number 1. But it's further down on my list, and this is in no particular order. But literally, if I could get consistency tattooed across my forehead and not look crazy, I would. Okay. I've said this before, and I will continue to say it every time this word comes up. If you were to ask me, what is the secret to this business? How did you get to the top of the compensation plan? How did you earn all these trips? How did you do this? How did you do that? Consistency. That's the key. That's the magic. That's the magic sauce. That's what you need. Consistency. Okay. In business, but also on social media. I have somehow stumbled on the TikTok algorithm of people who are trying to make money on TikTok to pay off debt. I love this. I am here for it, right? And so there's this particular woman who was talking about, she's had TikTok for 2 years, and she shows a lot her TikTok payouts, right? What she's getting paid off of social media, and then her immediately applying it to her credit card debt and all that, which is really fun to watch. Not fun, but I like watching it. But she was talking about how she's had TikTok for 2 years, and she did not start, and she was consistent, but she did not start seeing results until January of this year. And she actually didn't start making significant money on it till June of this year. So think about that. She had 2 years of consistency. She had 10 months of intentional focus. And like she said, I started really like honing in on what I needed this to look like for me. And I started doing the things necessary, and I got even more consistent. So I was like posting every day, but now I'm posting 3 times a day. And so there's a new level of consistency that she unlocked to achieve the results that she wanted to achieve. And she's still working on trying to get obviously more money so she can pay off her debt. But man, if that is not a testament to how important that C word is to every area of our life, right? You can literally apply it to everything, because there is not something that you can say, I'm going to start this and then I'm going to quit it in a week and it's all going to work out. Like I'm going to be a success. There's literally nothing that you can do that to. So actually what it requires is for you to decide, okay, I'm going to do this. This is the level of consistency I'm going to start at. And that's the wonderful thing. And the important thing to note about consistency is when I say that, and then you jump to my number 1 and you say, but you're posting in your VIP group 6 times a day, Brianna, I don't know what to tell you. I can't do that. Your level of consistency does not have to match mine, and it does not have to match your sponsors. Consistency is doing something regularly. intentionally, regularly, right? So going back to my friend's story, she said, I'm going to commit to being consistent with my business and posting on social media. And I'm going to do that by posting once a day. I'm going to take the pressure off. She's one of my best friends. She knew I was posting 6 times a day. She saw that, she knew that. And she said, I can't do that, but I can start with one. Right? So if your consistency is starting with one, then cool, do that. You can always up it. Okay. And if you need help with the consistency part of it, James Clear has a book called Atomic Habits. Read it. Game changer, not just for your business, but for your life. Atomic Habits. And that is the magic in consistency, is that it builds habits. And you may not think that your business is a habit, but it becomes a habit when you're consistent about it, because you're doing things in your business to produce results. And when you do those things regularly, it becomes part of your daily, weekly, monthly routine. And all of a sudden it's a habit. It's a habit that in the morning, after I get up, make my kids lunch, go wake them up, I come in my office and I track my numbers. Right? I do that before I even take them to school, and it's 6:35 in the morning when I'm doing that. Right? But I've been doing it for so long that now it's a habit and I'm consistent about it. These things turn into habits when you're doing them intentionally and regularly. It is literally the key to your business. And so the same is for social media. Start with one, start small. Whatever that level looks like for you, nobody's knocking it. Just do it, and do it consistently. You'll see results. I promise you, you will see results. Okay, number 7. Number 7. I love this one. Kendra Hall spoke on a virtual, I think it was World Tour, might have been Cincy Family Reunion back in the virtual days. Kendra Hall is an amazing author. She's a motivational speaker, but her big thing is about sharing your story versus, or not, sorry, telling stories versus, and then in our terms, it's telling stories versus selling, right? I me saying the word connection tonight should be a drinking game. I'm just going to say that because here we go again. But the magic of this business is the wide range of opportunity that you uniquely have to tell stories about the products that you have or have encountered or have experienced, right? And the beautiful part about that is that despite there being probably close to 1,000 of us just on our team alone, right? There being close to 1,000 of us, we all can tell different stories about the same product. That's the magic of you. That's the magic of this business, is having the unique ability to be able to share stories, to tell stories about these products. And again, this is not a skill that everybody is born with. And this is not a skill that we all just step into knowing how to do it perfectly. And the cool part about that is that nobody's looking for perfection. Your sponsor's not looking for perfection. Your customers are not looking for perfection. Me and Alex are not looking for perfection in your storytelling. We're just looking for that. We're just looking for the stories, and your customers are just looking for the stories. They're looking for something to connect to, right? And so that's why every picture that you take, every product that you have is an opportunity to tell a story with your customers, and specifically your customers, right? And so in your customer groups, when you're thinking about the content that you want to create, or on Instagram, when you're in your stories, or when you're trying to figure out what to post on Instagram, the story. What is the story behind that warmer? Maybe you just got it in the mail, but what made you have to have that warmer? What emotions, memories did it invoke that said, I need to have this? Or what tradition are you starting by collecting all these gingerbread house things or snowman things? Or what made you love Harry Potter? What made you love Hamish the Highland Cow? right? I was telling a story yesterday when he launched that the reason I love Highland cows is because of Hamish. Literally the first time they brought him out, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, that is not a dairy cow. And I grew up in cow country. So, like, what is that? And I looked it up and I was obsessed. Like, you look it up and it's like these cute little baby Highland, and you're like, oh my gosh. And so then I was like, I have to have one of these, but unfortunately it's not that easy. So, anyways, but I told the story, and everybody who knows me knows that I love Highland cows. And so that has become part of my brand. It's become part of what my customers know me as. And it all started because of a Scentsy Buddy, right? So that's a story that I get to tell every time Hamish comes around, or every time he pops up on my bed as a buddy or whatever. There's magic in the stories that we get to tell. And you're the author. And I know that's scary to some people. I know that's like a job you all maybe didn't want to have, right? But it doesn't have to be some elaborate multi-chapter New York bestseller story. That's not what we're doing here. We're just taking what's in front of us and we're adding emotion. That's how simple it is. We're taking the products that we have and we're adding emotion. Ask yourself, how does this make me feel? What memory does this bring up? Why do I want this? Why did I need to have this? Why would other people want to have this? Right? Telling the stories. I don't think that I need to say that it goes so much further than, here's this warmer. It's available for a limited time only. It's $45. Get it before it sells out. Here's my link. Cool, right? Not a story. It invokes no emotion from me reading it as a consumer. I'd rather know what this warmer means to you and see if I can connect with it. And even if I can't connect with the warmer that I want to buy it, I'm connected to you. Now I know just a little bit more about you, and now I'm connected to you. Now I feel connected. Now I'm having another reason to like you, right? Telling stories is a skill that, again, comes with practice. It is not something that happens overnight, but it's also not something that you need to critique and talk yourself out of. Because if you're doing it and it's not perfect, at least you're doing it. Because there's a lot of people who aren't. A lot of people who aren't. Okay. Number 8. Number 8. I love this one. I'm trying to get better at this one. And I feel like my newer customers are doing it more, which I love. But asking people to take pictures and share their products. And when I say people, I mean your customers. Okay. There are different ways that you can go about this. You can do referrals, like a snap and share and post, and like at the end of the month, you pick a winner or whatever. You can do what you want there. But inviting other people to tell their own stories, your customers to tell their own stories, is a powerful tool, even if you just have 1 or 2 customers doing it, and even if it's not regular, which is my story, right? I have a handful of customers who will share their stuff very irregularly. But man, when they do, here's the cool part. It's just like this team page, right? Me and Alex, super consistent. We post on here. We share our tips. We share these things. We're like, go do this training. Go look at this, blah, 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 blah. But also we share other things from other leaders. And what's so awesome, and the reason that we do that, is because we recognize that even if we're like, we've been doing what this leader's doing, we've talked about this before, the way that that leader says it, or the tweak that they put on it, is going to connect with somebody who, when we said it, it didn't connect with, it didn't land, right? And that's just the reality of like this world, right? And that's just the reality of like being human, is we're not going to land well with everybody. We're not we're not everybody's cup of tea. We're not tacos. We can't make everybody happy. So inviting other people to share their stories about the product that they bought that you've literally been talking about for 6 months is going to land with somebody else who has seen what you've said, but now I'm buying what she's saying, right? It's that effect. Also, paired with that, it's the affirmation that what you're saying as a salesperson isn't just a sale tactic, right? It's actually confirmed by now another person. So when you said, "Oh my gosh, this wax smells so good, it takes me back to like the pumpkin patch and walking through an apple orchard," or "it reminds me of this," and you're like describing it and you're like, "I told the perfect story," but then your customer gets in and is like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, no, actually you're right, that does smell exactly like a pumpkin patch," and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm sold, yeah, she said it." Who cares? Who cares if they take their word for it over yours, right? The power is that you are inviting other people to share their experiences, and it's for your good. And it's maybe a little bit selfish, but it's a powerful tool that you literally have at your disposal. But you have to ask. And that's the important part, is that you do have to ask, and you have to let people know it's okay, right? It's just like asking for referrals, right? I don't know why or where this came from, but sometimes people think we're good. I couldn't take another customer if it dropped in my lap, like that mentality. Some people really think that that's true. So you have to let people know, I'm open for business. Bring me the people. I can handle it, right? So yes, I want to know what your experience was with that warmer. I always tell people when they're direct shipping stuff, I always say, let me know when you get the stuff in and what you think of that, right? And then if they don't and I'm following up, I'll be like, "Hey, what did you think of that?" And even if they don't post it on my page, sometimes I'll be like, "Can I screenshot this and share it?" People will send me pictures all the time, and I'm like, "Can I just put this on my VIP page, or would you mind sharing it on my VIP page?" Yeah, no problem. Totally. It's not for people lack of wanting to, it's that they're not being asked or they forget, right? And so it's your job to ask and to remind. Hey, would you mind when you get that new Mickey Jack-o'-lantern warmer, would you mind taking a picture of it once you get it all set up? I'd love to see it, but I know other people would love to see it in your home, right? There's power in that. There's power in that. And you will find that there will be people who bandwagon when somebody else says something that you already know to be true, that you've said a million times, but now it's clear, right? Somebody else has said it. There's power in that. Ask people to take pictures and share their product, share their stories of their Scentsy products, what they have. Okay, number 9. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. I kind of touched on this already. But Instagram is my number 9. That's what I literally have written down. But to me, Instagram is a really powerful tool that I think at one point I was thinking maybe it was going to die off, but I actually just think it's getting better. Because Instagram is still such a unique place in that it's embodied the visual aspect of what we love about pictures, right? Pictures are so like, to me, like holding a picture in my hand is so nostalgic. I grew up with my mom having photo albums and boxes of photo albums, and we are visual people. And so the idea of getting on an app and not being bombarded by words like Facebook, right? And I love TikTok because the videos and funny and whatever, but like there's something so nostalgic and visually satisfying about just looking at pictures, right? I do spend a lot of time in stories where that's mostly videos, but like I really do love scrolling through Instagram, and I am not the only one. Instagram has millions and millions and millions of accounts. So I'm not the only one, right? So I take Instagram very serious as a leg of my business and as how I am on social media because one, people are there. Okay. That's eyes on my business. That's a whole network of people that I have not tapped into. Um, it's also a place that I enjoy. I enjoy Instagram. It's less of the noise and more of just the pretty things. I feel that way, and I know that other people feel that way too. And as a person who does like to take pictures and likes to share that area of, or that passion that I have, it's a really fun place to be. You may not feel that way, may be very scary. So this is one of those things that you can do without. If you are not an Instagram person, doesn't really appeal to you, don't want to bother with it, I don't think it's a necessary piece of your business to succeed. Okay. I love Facebook and I love Instagram. Um, I think Instagram has a different potential than Facebook does. It's not greater than or less than, it's just different. And I think it's just another opportunity for networking and opening yourself up for business, right? Because what is great about Instagram for me is that I can primarily focus on Scentsy there, and whereas on Facebook, that's my family, that's my kids, that's my husband who's in law enforcement, and there's a certain wall of protection that I have to put up around my family on Facebook. So I don't just let anybody be there with me on Facebook as a friend. On Instagram, I'm like, sure, yeah, come on, whatever. Yeah, doors wide open, right? My profile is public. So anybody who wants to follow me on Instagram can. I don't hold the same boundary on Facebook. So Instagram, I'm more freely saying I'm open for business. And it goes back to that idea that people are attracted to what they see, and what people see on Instagram are pictures. And so you can capture somebody's attention and capture somebody's business with a picture. And I'll tell you what, I just had 2 reinstatements this week. One of them came from a woman who has been following me for a couple of years on Instagram. And she said, I love your content. I love what you post. I love watching you. I love your grid, all of that. Cool, right? And that's happened to me a lot. That's a space where if you are interested or intrigued or good at, or wanting to be good at the visual attraction marketing, that's a great place to test it out. That's a great place to take off with it. That's a great place to invest your time, because there's so much opportunity. There's so much untapped potential there, in terms of business wise. And so Instagram for me is a really amazing, incredible, limitless opportunity to share your business on social media. Okay. That's not to say that other places are not. I love Facebook, but Instagram for me has proven time and time again. Every time I get a little down on Instagram, every time I get a little burnt out, I get a reinstatement, or I get a new customer, or I get new contacts. And it reminds me that the investment that I'm putting into Instagram is working. The consistency that I'm dedicating to it is working. And just like with anything else, when you commit to consistency, you see the outcome. There's just no time on it. Okay. All right. Last one. This is why me and Alex usually don't do these by ourselves, because it's a lot of talking. Okay. Last one. Authenticity. This is actually a core value of Scentsy's. So if you're new here, Scentsy holds itself to 3 very strong core values, and you can see this played out in any direction that they take. Of course, there have been moments in this business, in the 20 years that they have been around, where they can say that we didn't hold true to it and look what happened, as we all do. We all have to learn, we all have to take opportunities and then recognize maybe it wasn't the best one. But for Scentsy, their 3 core values are very simple: authenticity, simplicity, and generosity. Okay. And me personally, I am in love with those three things. I don't always do those three things really well, but those are three things that I can be actively working towards, not just in my business, but me as a person. And so I love that our core values, this business literally revolves around those three things. What a beautiful thing to be attached to, right? I hope that you guys consider yourself incredibly blessed to be a part of a company where that is their focus. Arrows out, generosity, simplicity. Like the world could use a couple steps in the simple direction, right? Um, Authenticity. This Scentsy community, it would not take you very long to look around. If you go to World Tour, if you go to Scentsy Family Reunion, if you take a gander at our team page, it would not take you very long to look around and go, we're all kind of different here. We don't quite look alike. We don't look like we are cut from the same cloth. And guess what? That's okay. We're all still here doing our thing and doing it together, right? And the best part about you being here is that it's you here, right? We love that. Scentsy embraces that. And social media needs that. Social media, unfortunately, and I'm kind of digging at Facebook here, but social media sometimes can turn into, first of all, comparison, right? And I know that's a hard, that's a really like, that can be a brick wall. I struggle with comparison. I know Alex struggles with comparison. We all have moments or seasons where we're locked in with comparison. But remember, we are not attached to a business that says comparison is one of our core values. I'm not attached to a faith that says comparison is a fruit of the spirit, right? Comparison is actually the thief of joy. And so that means that we have to head in the opposite direction. And to me, it's very simple. It's showing up as you. And there are a lot of avenues that you can take in this business that seem really easy. For instance, if you have a lot of consultant friends, or maybe you just have a couple on your social medias, it's really easy to just copy what they posted and take their picture and go post it in your VIP group and call it a day, right? Um, but is that true to you? Are those your emotions attached to that product? Is that what you have to say about that warmer? Pictures are one thing, in my opinion. Pictures are one thing, right? We are a sharing community and not everybody is getting the products. And so sharing pictures to me is not a part of this. But in terms of who you are and what you have to say, that deserves to be heard. And it is not only masked when you refuse to share it, but it is silenced when you take somebody else's content and share it. And it's not really, I don't want to focus too much on that, but we are talking about authenticity and social media. And, you know, I don't know if it's easier for you to go out into the real world and be yourself or to go on social media and be yourself. But to me, it seems a lot easier to go on social media and be myself because I'm still kind of hidden, like it's like, yeah, I can put myself out there on social media and there's no like weird, funny looks that I can see, or, I don't have to, it's not like awkward, like walking back after you bowl a bowling ball, like that awkward walk back. Like I don't have to face the music in that way. So to me, it's easier to be authentic on social media because I don't have to face the repercussions of people's reactions in real time. So sometimes I ask myself, like, why are we pretending to be people we're not on social media when in reality we can show up as ourselves, and it's a take it or leave it type mentality. I also recognize that bullying is real and that we may be self-conscious about different parts of ourselves. And I think that there is, as a business owner, there is a business etiquette. There is a social media etiquette that we should hold ourselves to a high standard on, because we are representing our business, our Scentsy business. And yes, it's unique to you, and you are the independent consultant. You are free to act within the realms of our Scentsy conduct. However, you are also still representing me. You are also still representing our Scentsy community. You are also still representing Heidi and Orville. And if you ever have the pleasure, which I hope all of you do, of meeting them, you will understand the gravity of how much you just want to like do the best by them. And I say that with every piece of my heart. So I would say the person that you hold highest of value in your mind, think about how they would want you to be on social media as yourself, right? And that's not to dim any light, that's not to hold anything back necessarily, but it is to hold yourself to a high standard, because you represent a company. You represent real people behind this company, and you represent yourself as a business person. And showing up as who you are is both the most beautiful thing about this business, and you being an independent consultant, it can also be tricky, because what does it look like to show up authentically when you feel this way about politics, or you got into a fight with your best friend and she's hashing it out on Facebook, right? Or, you got your feelings hurt today, or somebody cut you off and you really just want to take it to social media and start talking smack, right? That's real life to you. It's authentically your feelings. You have to ask yourself that question, because I'm not your boss. I am just another consultant who happens to care so much about you and your business enough to share with you the reality that the higher the standard you hold yourself to in your business, the higher standard people are going to hold you to in terms of the value and the way that they see you. And your moment of feelings about this, that, or the other could literally represent the way that they think about you forever. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? So let me just be very simple. I have opinions about politics. I have opinions about, well, I mean, frankly, let's be honest, I have opinions about most things, okay? Who doesn't? I have opinions about a lot of things. Um, I'm not taking those to social media. In fact, the only political post that I think I've shared was today about voting for Cody Johnson for president, writing his name on the ballot. So that's probably the only thing you'll hear from me on Facebook about it, because I don't think everybody needs to know. People who know me can ask and we can talk about it, and I'm an open book, but I don't think the world needs to know that, right? I'm married to a police officer, and he's my world, and I feel very strongly about certain things when it comes to his safety, his life. And I would like to say some things to some people on social media about it. Those are my authentic feelings because it's personal to me, right? I don't know if saying any of those things on Facebook is going to change that, right? I have to fight those battles somewhere else, not on social media. So make no mistake that when you're thinking about this later, you know, don't think that it's easy for me to sit here and say that, because trust me, I have my days and I have my moments. And I have my typing out a paragraph and then deleting it. Okay. I have those moments. Those are so real to me. But I also have my business. And I'm not saying your business is going to crumble over some words about a president or whatever, but impressions last. And there's this saying, people won't remember what you did, they'll remember how you made them feel. Yeah. Have you ever read a friend's post and been like, ouch, that kind of hurt. Like, that didn't make me feel so great. And now your view of them is kind of a little bit, okay, well, you keep that in there. Your customers are doing the same thing, right? So being authentic on social media is a balancing act. Um, and it's just a matter of asking yourself, does this add value to my business and to who I am? Is this getting me further, or could this potentially take me steps back? Right? Is it actually adding value to everybody who will see this? Or am I just using this as my personal diary today and I don't care? And if that's your answer, then that's your answer, and you show up how you want to, because nobody's policing you. But I just want that to be something that you think about. But in general, you are you, and your customers are commenting and liking and loving your stuff for who you are and because of who you are to them. And that's important to note on the hard days. And there's things about you that you absolutely should share, and you should be authentic. And that really shines a light on this idea of being authentic in the stories that you're telling about Scentsy. There's lots of consultants, lots of same products. We're all selling the same products, but the stories are not the same. You uniquely have a different story, and it is best shared by you. Okay. So those are my 10 tips for you.